All right.
5 minutes. Oh boy. Hi, I'm Julie. I inherited Lehigh Valley Gas Truth from Kathy Frankenberg, who started this in fall of 2010. And I went faithfully to her meetings and Karen Feriden's meetings until I ended up moving from Berks County to Bethlehem, and I'm pleased to have taken over Lehigh Valley Gas Truth. So there are a lot of larger organizations, obviously, in the valley that advocate on fracking, but I'm kind of the dedicated grassroots organizer in the Lehigh Valley, and we have meetings in Bethlehem. We have a Facebook page, Lehigh Valley Gas Truth. I run a separate page dedicated to water more in general called Safe Water Society, which I've branded as a sister org to Lehigh Valley Gas Truth, and would like to turn that into a 501c3 by the end of the year to raise money for people who are living without water in Pennsylvania, which is a really big problem. I saw Gasland in October 2010, and that night changed my life. I had always been like environmentally concerned, but my life literally crystallized before my eyes, and it's one of those Lorax moments that you realize something has to be done about this, and who's going to do it? Well, I guess I'm going to do that. So I spent about 2.5 years really dedicated to this issue. They say it takes 5,000 hours to become an expert in anything. I'm pretty sure I surpassed that long ago. Pretty much a Frackopedia, and a lot of people use me as a resource, as well as there are plenty of other members of our community that I'm well networked with. Between all of us, my goodness, we have hundreds of thousands of hours, and stay up to date with every article on fracking, every breaking news. So really quickly, I'd just like to tell an impact story that will shock the crap out of you, and then I would like to talk a little bit about radiation, which is something that's really under discussed as one of the 157 ways that fracking is just absolutely unacceptably wrong. And then I'd like to give you my little pep talk for why we should be doing something about this at all. I'd like to tell you about my friend Jenny Lissack, who lives in Jefferson County. So Pennsylvania is like a rectangle here. She's kind of 1/3 of the way from the west side, and up at the top, pretty towards the top in Jefferson County. And she has a family. They bought a beautiful piece of land in Jefferson County and started to do organic farming for 20 years. That's been their home, and they grow organic blueberries and all kinds of wonderful things. So just to be clear, fracking risks more than just the water in Pennsylvania. Between the spills, leaks, blowouts, explosions, and stuff, there's plenty of land contamination issues, especially as it concerns fracking brine and radiation, which I'm going to get to really quickly here, and all the VOCs and various things that go into the air. The big picture about fracking is that it ruins the farm shed. You know, I just like to say briefly, here in Pennsylvania, we have billions of dollars in a sustainable economy. For all the fracking people going, jobs. It's because we have billions of dollars in a sustainable economy in Pennsylvania based on farming, outfitters, hiking, boating, fishing, recreation, tourism, certified sustainable forestry, winemaking, beer making. And the frackers, it's a boom-bust thing. They'll be in here, frack us, and get the heck out after they've taken our gas without paying any taxes. And all of our sustainable economy, that billions of dollars that we've been relying on for the whole history of Penn's Woods, is going to be gone too. So I want to make sure that that's really clear to everyone. So Jenny's family, let me tell you a story about Jenny. Her neighbor signed a lease. So the fact that they were going to frack directly threatened Jenny's farm. Can you imagine an organic farmer could easily lose their standards of certification, but you know, if their water went bad for various toxic trespass issues. So the horrific story is that Jenny saw a truck, a very suspicious truck, just like kind of letting water come out of the tanker, you know, just in their rural area, like, you know, in somebody's field along the side of the road. And she called up the Fish and Game Commission, and they said, well, if it seems suspicious, go get a sample. So Jenny went down and collected a sample, and she actually has a Geiger counter, because this happens frequently in their area. All these like questionable, shady, and unpermitted discharges that they found, like puddles around and stuff. So she tests the puddle, and it's radioactive. Can you imagine someone coming to your neighborhood, to your home, to your community, and just letting radioactive fracking flowback water just in your puddles for the animals to walk through, to, you know, splash around in the grass or whatever? So here's the kicker. Jenny is at her son's having her son's graduation, high school graduation party in their home. It's a big celebration, there are 100 people there. The state police arrive at Jenny Lissak's house and arrest her for taking that water sample, even though the Fish and Game Commission told her to do that, because apparently the property owner pressed some charge and said that she wasn't allowed on their property to collect some sample. It's a very long thing. Eventually she got out of those charges. But this is like horrific. Like when I tell people stories like this, they're like, no way, dude, you gotta be kidding me, because if that were true, that would be on the front page of like every paper in Pennsylvania. Well, I'm telling you, it's not, but there are dozens and dozens and hundreds of citizen journalists on the ground doing interviews, taking video, and if anybody wants to know, I can recommend you several good video series. We post them like crazy on Facebook, but you can find them on YouTube. If you want to watch real citizen journalism that impacts, I have some places to refer you to. So radioactivity, really briefly, I know I'm over my 5 minutes already. It's bad enough that we siphon off millions of gallons and across 32 shale gas drilling states, that actually the scale of that is actually trillions of gallons of public fresh water from rivers, streams, reservoirs, places that are supposed to be drinking water sources and supporting life from wherever they flow to wherever they flow to, from creeks to the rivers to the sea. And mostly the gas companies do not pay for that water. So it's bad enough that we add, you know, a mixture of 596 different endocrine disrupting, neurotoxic, carcinogenic, and mutagenic chemicals to that. But what not everybody knows, well, it's a lot of people here know, but some of you may not know that when we actually put that down into the shale layer and like basically blow it up with bomb strength pressures, that we release a lot of heavy metals and radioactive elements, radium, strontium, barium, uranium. My God, the Sutners had 3 different kinds of uranium in their water up in Dimmock. And 2 of them were weapons grade, and some people laugh at that. They think that's like a punchline, but I guarantee you it definitely is not a punchline if that's happening in your home. So what we're doing is we're taking all this radium from the shale stratum that the Earth sequestered there, and we're protected from that until some guys with a big drill bit go down and like blow the stuff up. And then what we're doing is mobilizing all this radioactivity on a very large scale to the surface. That radium has a half-life of 160,000 years. And we're going to be dealing with that, not to mention the poor animals and other things that are trying to live on the surface, just to even talk about public health. It's totally ridiculous, the scale at which we are mobilizing radiation and radioactive elements to the surface. And I want to make that really clear. All right, one more thing. Here's my pep talk.
Julie, we're going to have question and answer.
That's great.
And everybody wants to.
Of course. All right. My pep talk is the reason you should get engaged is because there are more of us than them. And if we organize, I believe that the love in our hearts for what we want to protect, that supports life, water, air, and human community unfractured is stronger than the frackers' love of profits. Thanks.
Next, we have Karen Faraday from the